tutorial time! Get the reason brushes, it's tutorial time! This is gonna show you how to paint your stuff! Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1!
Hello everyone. Today we will be painting a Plaguebearer. Here's your paint list. After priming gray, we'll start building up highlights using snow white. We're going to hit areas that we think light is going to hit from whatever direction you think the light's going to be coming from, and also highlighting areas that we think would look interesting being highlighted. Next we'll use innards, which is kind of a magenta burgundy color. We're just going to lay that into the shadows, kind of a pre-shade. This is to give us variations in our skin tone. The next color we'll use is Lurking Moss, which is a dark turquoise. You'll start to see me do this more on skin, is using a magenta and a turquoise to pre-shade. And you can go over those areas that you hit with the red and be a little bit random with it. Alright, now we take Rutted Flesh, and this is diluted 1 part paint to 10 parts airbrush thinner. So it's going on really thin. If it pulls up and it goes into the crevices, it's not going to matter because we're going to do a wash anyway later. But what this will do is it'll stay transparent to let that green and red through, but still color the skin and kind of blend it. Next we're going to take Rottenwood, which is like a highlight color. Then the final highlight will be Mummy, and this is a very bright bone color, and we're just going to hit little areas with that. Now we're going to take Fairytale Flesh and start to highlight all his boils and pimples and all that stuff and get him to stand out from the normal skin. For the sword, we're going to base coat it with blood-stained mud. At first I was going to go rusty, like a lot of people do, and then I kind of changed the way I did it. And we'll go ahead and hit the tongue inside of his mouth. Then we take red clay, apply that to it. It's just basically if you took the same color and added khaki to it, it looks like red clay. Just stipple it on the sword there. Now this is the point where I decided, hey, maybe we should dry brush some silver on it, instead of going the other way, which was to base coat silver and then put different colors of glazes on it, things like that. Kind of got a cool effect. So here, just dry brushing on VMA silver. Probably could have wiped a little bit more paint off the brush, but we're going to come back with a wash. Now I do a wash of Warning Yellow, and this is basically, it looked like it would be a light rust color, but I kind of got a different effect going. It almost looks like it's a poisoned blade once it's dry. So it worked. If you would like more of a fresh rust color, you just add a little bit red to that yellow, and you're good. Now I use Duck Egg Green because I wanted to paint his teeth, but I didn't figure, he had a toothbrush or anything, so his teeth wouldn't be pure white. And Duck Egg Green it's a really nice color. It's almost like rotting flesh, but a highlight color for it. And then we'll put black on the eyeballs. For some reason you don't see this a lot, but I thought, hey, demons, they should have eyes that are just pure black. So now I'm going to do a dry brush. I really didn't want to paint these heads, so I'm hasty with my dry brush that kind of isn't dry, and I'm totally out of frame right there. But I just went over it with cold gray really quick, just so that my wash has something to stand against. Yeah, that's totally not a dry brush. Alright, time for the satin coat, which means the wash is coming. So get a nice satin coat going. You could use Future floor polish, whatever you use to make a barrier between your paint job and your washes. Alright. So our mix is 50-50 Payne's Gray and Burnt Umber. Just a smear of each of the colors that look about the same size. I diluted it with mineral spirits pretty heavily so that we wouldn't get really sharp lines in any of the details. It would look more natural. You can see it right there. It's kind of a grayish brown, because Payne's Gray it looks black, but when you actually thin it out, it's a really nice gray color. And then that mixed with brown makes for pretty natural neutral tone for this guy. After the wash is dry, we will apply a flat coat. And once everything's done on the model, that's when you want to actually get to doing blood, because the blood has its own sheen to it, and you don't want to try to re-gloss over the blood. It's a pain. So here we're mixing the blood. We have Ghost Tint, Fresh Blood, and Midnight Blue. Midnight Blue is called a Ghost Tint, but it's really not. It's basically thinned out blue paint. It does not work like a normal candy. So here we're just taking a little bit of the blue, mixing different shades of the red, kind of making some purples here for just different shades of blood. Your blood should never be all the same color, so pick from different parts of the palette. Make it random. I mean, people act like it's easy, but it's kind of hard when you're used to doing everything in a kind of organized fashion. So here it's taking a little bit of the true red, putting that on the boils, and then grabbing some of that purple, dipping my brush in water and letting it pool around to create the darker areas. So here I'm just grabbing pure red for that to darken up the edges. I'll grab some of the purple for the little pock marks in them. If you want to darken those up, that's what you do. You grab a little bit of the purple or a little bit more blue. But because you have the transparency of the red, it really sells the gore. I didn't film the horns, but the horns are pretty much done like this other stuff. You put a little bit of red on there, then some blue, so that's how you get kind of like the purplish tint up by the top. It was just adding blue and wet blending on the horns, and then just taking a brush and making a bunch of little lines all over the horns. And same thing for the sword, if you want to bloody that up. And that's pretty much it. See you guys next time.